You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a StarCitizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, StarCitizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radagast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, StarCitizen podcast. I'm your host, Sulyce, and this is episode 125. It's a retrospective look into CitizenCon 2955, and I am joined by two of my very, very good friends. If you are tenured listeners and viewers of the podcast, you know exactly who these individuals are. First off, we have the Space Tomato. What's up, Keenan? How you doing, buddy?
Hello. How's it going?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Cannot wait to pick your brain on this virtual watch party and how
Brain's
yours.
ready to be picked.
Yours. There's a lot to unpack there for sure. And then my partner in crime, Paul, the AstroPub.
Yes.
Welcome in, buddy.
Thank you. We spent the weekend together watching this with about 300 other people in Austin. So
yes,
it'll be nice to talk to you and not in front of a crowd of several hundred.
And not being pushed to the next event and being told what to say and segue. Oh my goodness. What a watch party. Well, and then
I'm going to ask you guys about that a little bit.
Please. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to host it. A lot of great people, met a lot of good people, but does it replace the in-person CitizenCon? It's like, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge here in a second. Foreshadowing. But Keenan, I don't think you and I have talked since episode 100. Like, you have moved. I'm not going to say where. Don't want to dox you. But you have moved. Your whole family has relocated. How are things going, man? On the personal side of things.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, hasn't it? Not just for us moving. I think everybody is probably a little frazzled, but we have settled in. It's been a couple months, and we've got most of the things we wanted to get figured out, getting settled in here, figured out. And at this point, we're like back up and running in terms of production and putting out videos and doing streams and all that. Internet's not freaking out all the time. And we're like being able to go on walks and do normal things that we haven't really done as much since we've been moving around so much. So it's
Shocker. It's amazing that we have like normal lives on the back end of things.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad internet, Paul, you and I were supposed to have recorded before CitizenCon. I had rolling blackouts. You had breaker issues. Are we good now? Like, you're making content again?
Fine.
Like, okay, all safe.
Yeah. I managed to find a solution until the electricians come here. So, and since then I've streamed a lot, so it's good.
Good.
But the gremlins decided to come out right before CitizenCon Direct. So
perfect timing.
Yes. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, it was Murphy's Law. It was a painful Thursday night when we were trying to record last week. But before we get into the meat of today's podcast, I just really quick want to showcase that we're giving away, thanks to CIG's sponsorship, we are giving away a Gray's Market Shiv with lifetime insurance with a CitizenCon 2955 goodies pack. That's a mouthful. And you can go and enter at beyondtheversehq.com. It's as simple as this landing page here. You can either click the announcement bar or you can go to the podcast and click giveaway. Once you're here, I'm going to ask my hosts this question as well, but I do have an engagement question I always ask entries. And this engagement question is, you just jacked a Shiv from Gray's Market. What's your escape plan? Space Tomato, let's start with you. What are you doing? How are you escaping with the world's worst ship? What are you doing?
I'm going to fly it inside an Idris and then get away in that.
Smart. Yeah. Smart.
Just park it up in there. My solo Idris.
Yeah.
I got PDCs.
If you're able to make it to the Idris. I don't know if...
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if the duct tape will hold.
I probably don't have a helmet on, so chances are no. I open the door and that's where my game ends usually.
Yep. Paul, how you doing it, man? How are you stealing a Shiv and how are you escaping with it?
I'm talking my way out.
Yeah.
I'm explaining to them
You're done.
that I actually purchased this, and I'm just gonna like convince them that I actually purchased it, because anyone who selling a Shiv is probably not the brightest bulb in the pack. So you can probably convince them you actually purchased it, and that the random dude who doesn't exist is the one I gave all the money to. They're like, oh, okay. Okay.
Hey man, you got to be smart to build one of those.
Do you?
You just have to be. You just have to be. What is it? Is it like have ingenuity? You just have to
ingenuity.
Have to know how to use duct tape.
Duct tape. That's
exactly.
it. Cross some wires.
Banana clamps.
That's have a box fan in there like other Drake vehicles. Sure. Checks out. I would also be remiss if we don't quickly cover Happy Flash Day. Not Flash Patch. Happy Patch Day. We have 4.3.2 is now out, so yay. I have not been able to get into it at all yet. But just quickly going through, we know we have 2 events. We have a live event for the Frontier Fighters finale. And then, of course, we have, is it a snake? Is it a dragon? What are we calling that little worm thing? I guess AstroPub, you would know.
It's a worm.
Is it a worm?
Wormy boy.
But it's worm with a WYRM. Like a classic worm.
Dragon.
What?
Not
it's like one of those
dragon.
worms from the books.
Yeah. Non-flying dragon. It's a dragon without legs and cannot fly.
Yeah. Dragon. Okay. I've seen a lot of...
Spits fire or spits something. It
And-
fires its laser. You know?
And why is it under there?
It's funny because there's actually a Yorit entry about it. It's an unknown creature. Like Yorit discovered it under there.
Okay.
And he didn't know what it was. At least when they were first building Onyx, it was just there. So
See, this makes me wonder which place Onyx is actually supposed to be at now.
Yeah. Yeah, because for those who don't know, it's clearly not supposed to be in 100 different locations. It's
on every system.
Just 100 Yorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just they didn't get instancing in time, so they had to put them all. So.
Yeah, and as much as I want to ask you about the instancing, because I actually do have legitimate questions about that, and like why they weren't able to do it. They're able to instance hangars, but they can't instance locations like outside of hangars. Like what's the actual tech gap?
I mean,
think about hangars.
Yeah.
How bad are hangars?
Oh, they're horrible. We can't even get elevators right. I'm tracking.
Let's not do that with everything else.
You can hear like random atlases walking around. You can hear ships taking off and landing. Sometimes you can even hear people voiping.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that same technology in an instance? If like that that's one hangar. Imagine if it's like ASD and there are 70 people doing ASD at the same time. The cacophony that would come out of that.
Would I be wrong saying my expectations are really low? So like I probably wouldn't second guess that. Sure.
Think of it.
Why not?
It's kind of like now I'm not going to say that the star map we have right now is great, but the one we had before was absolutely awful.
Horrendous.
And that's because that was the one that they built for basically just the area surrounding Crusader. So no real long quantum traveling, no worrying about fuel, no doing ground locations on planets, anything like that. So you could kind of tell that it was not built for that, and it sucked.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what their instancing is right now. It's just a stopgap that they made to work with the feature in that tech. And I do think that whatever it is they come up with for the dynamic server meshing is probably going to be way, way better.
We could hope.
Well, we could hope. They're going to be in trouble if it's not.
Yeah. Agreed wholeheartedly. But I do think this is a phenomenal preface going into this podcast and the overall conversation. Is with 4.3.2, we are wrapping up basically 2025 or 2955's story arc. And there's been 2 of them tracking that. We're talking to the lore master himself. I kind of want to get both of y'all's impression on just how this year has been. It's been unlike any other year in StarCitizen, where they've let kind of narrative drive the content releases, and we're finishing it up with this patch. So I just want to open up the general reaction, Paul, we'll start with you, but have we been happy with this lore drive? Has it been good for the community, good for development? How do we feel that it's now over with this patch?
With the stories mostly?
Yes. Yeah.
I think they learned a lot. I think it's the big takeaway, because quite honestly, the first half of the year in terms of stories, you could just throw them away. They might as well not exist. Like the fight for Pyro was such a disaster in terms of how things worked. The Save Stanton was just a joke. And then they started getting a little bit better with Supply or Die. It was a little okay, but honestly, the best event this year was almost assuredly the one that CIG didn't think was the main story, which was the Science Run Amok, which is the ASD facilities, both Onyx and
Lazarus
facility, and the Resource Rush, the Line Go Up one that everyone participated in. Yeah, it broke
it was horrible.
those ones, but like
yes.
there were so many people who were engaged with it, and so basically everyone I talked to said if it had worked, other than those problems, they had the most fun doing that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That was the A story. They just called it the B story because Pyro just came out, but that was the A story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's come out to be the A story because now it actually leads us into Nyx. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you ask people what do they remember from this year, they're not going to say the freaking fight for Pyro and Amelia Boyd. They're going to say ASD.
I don't even know who Amelia is. Like, they've done no setup for this person. It's just the Frontier Fighters are barely a thing that exists. They just sort of, people forget they existed, other than that CIG made that really horrible twist. And I saw. I think that comes down to the main point was that CIG, when they're doing the fight for Pyro stuff, was still figuring out how to make the game. And it's clear that by like March of this year, that the game systems were not ready for the stuff they wanted to do, and so they started doing mission system 2.0. When they did the mission system 2.0, they started to improve, and then we started seeing everything getting better as they went along. They're taking the lessons they learned, and they got better. So like, it was a learning year. It was fine, but like this sort of feels like the end of this sort of feels like we gotta get over this. Let's just
wrap this one up. Yeah,
let's just get it done. Sorry.
Yeah, let's just wrap this up.
Yeah. Now this is.
No, you're good. Keep answering.
This is
you were saying.
Go ahead.
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, I don't. I was just making a joke.
Okay.
So how important is it, Keenan, that this story is bridging us into Nyx? Like, do we care that there's a story that drives us to Nyx, or should it be something just game loop oriented where now you have to deliver cargo or mine over in Nyx? But do we see there being a need for a story? How important is that to you?
You know, it's kind of funny. A couple of years ago, I think it was, or maybe it was a year and a half ago, probably. I don't remember. It was at some point before 4.0 and like maybe closer to like 3.18. I was thinking to myself, how great would this be if they figured out how to start bundling their features a little bit so that they could like theme an update and release an update and be like, this is our cargo hauling update. It's got like an update to tractor beams. It's got something like the Atlas is included. Maybe there are there's an update to the physicalized cargo refactor, all that kind of stuff. Like, if they could just do that, I think people would get a lot more excited for the updates. And they went so far beyond that. They've just created entire stories for each of these updates. And that's not like the same goal that I was thinking. I was thinking just making features more exciting. Yeah. But they are actively running a game at this point. I mean, the features aren't there, the content's not there, the polish is not there, but the way that they're doing this is a live game. And using that as the marketing for the game and not having to rely on features that are, yes, cool and get you a lot of attention and funding, but are also incredibly unreliable in terms of their timelines, in terms of how they're going to perform when they get in the game, in terms of how they have to be tested. All that stuff makes it so chaotic, but they've relied on that for such a long time. And so seeing them use these storylines as the driving force throughout the year it's it's a breath of fresh air. As somebody who is obsessed with feature development and really, really wants them to focus on like data running and scanning and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it is just so nice to see them act in a competent way and identify how they're like iterating. You can totally see that Rockbreaker is what they learned from Hathor applied to a more widely available format. You can see that the way that they're writing in the stories and the missions, and even like the snake fight from the ASD facility has little things that make more sense than the stuff we saw at Lazarus or even the Hathor facilities. And it's just really nice to see this quick iteration, competent releases that are keeping people interested, and I think pretty interesting writing given kind of what they have going for them and how much pressure or how much, I guess, of the funding seems to be going towards Star Citizen versus Squadron. So I like what they've done. I think it's been pretty healthy for the game and the community. We're talking about completely different things than we were last year, but it is still disappointing to not see feature development coming through.
Yeah, I agree with the breath of fresh air piece. It almost seems like they took the reins off their lore team and said, have at it, right? Like really go creative. Like we really haven't had these story arcs. Now, Paul's going to probably kill me from saying this, but we really haven't had a lot of story driven content in Star Citizen. It's been talked about. It kind of exists around, but there's not a lot of like, go here because of this. It's more like just go here because it's new. Right. So
or
like
if it is, it's locked behind a broken mission giver.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's completely fair. So CitizenCon Direct happens. And in the first 5 minutes, we get the announcement that Nyx is coming on board. But it's, yeah, I know, it's just crazy. Like, I don't think anybody, Paul, I don't know. I didn't expect it. Like,
I didn't expect him to come out and just be like, all right, yeah, by the way, Nyx is dropping next month. That's just like, it's kind of swinging.
I think if there weren't any like leaks and rumors going around because of the stuff in the files, I think it would have been completely surprising. I kind of was like, okay, that makes sense given what we've been seeing. Yeah. But if there were no signs of it, I would have been like, yeah, I thought next year. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember the sound files getting leaked, and like they're obviously doing something with Nyx. And unfortunately it's there if you're on social media. But they did announce, and I want to we'll start with Keenan. We'll start with your response first, but they did say that it was an incomplete system. I didn't realize just how incomplete when they started getting into the explanation. It's less than Pyro. And so I guess my question is, there's obviously polarized opinions on social media where, don't release anything until it's completely done, or, hey, we're fine with where it's at. How important is it that they just get it out in front of the community? Like, this is the first time, other than Pyro's missing like solar flares and a couple of other things, this is the first time that they're like, here is this like soon to be system with like a kind of a half-assed product. Is that a good idea, or is that going to bite us in the ass? What do you think?
To be clear, just to start out, I'd like to say that I kind of feel like where we are now, they're probably going to deliver a better starting experience in Nyx than we had in Pyro.
I agree.
I mean, Pyro can have more planets if it wants, but dude, there's no shortage of falling through the planet surface in Pyro. Oh my God.
Like, it's so bad.
Like outposts wouldn't work. NPCs wouldn't spawn. You're falling through the floor. With the way that they're handling the game and maintenance now, I think that Nyx is going to launch in a better situation. Yeah. Now, am I bummed out that there aren't planets in Nyx? Yeah. That kind of sucks. But my view of it is, and this probably sounds super apologetic to some people, I'm not saying everybody needs to feel this way, but when I thought about Nyx throughout all these years coming up, all I thought about was Levski. Yeah. And when somebody might bring up, isn't there other stuff in Levski or something like that, people would generally be like, not really. I mean, there's the asteroid belt, there's probably space stations, planets, moons, but like Delamar is where it's at. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we should just forget about the planets, but when they tell me, hey, we're bringing in Nyx, and they're going to have Delamar with Levski, they're going to have a proper mission set that's in there that's leading us to some sort of new locations. They're going to have cargo hauling missions that are going in and out of the system.
Yeah.
They've got 2 jump points maybe to complicate things a little bit. And then depending on what they do with the asteroid belt, they give us enough points of interest in space, whether they're space stations or asteroids or whatever they are. That's the meat of what I expected. And I'm not talking about from the lore perspective of how much it makes sense. Just expectation wise, I'm sure I expected them to have done some work on the Nyx system. But yeah, all these years, honestly, I wasn't really thinking about the planets when I considered it.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Paul?
I mean, same.
Yeah.
Nyx is supposed to be kind of a dead system. So when they said, hey, we're getting kind of a partial system added, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing there other than the Glacium Ring. And the thing about the Glacium Ring is it's a sandbox. Like the CIG can add whatever they want to in terms of points of interest, because it's like the Wild West. And it's the whole vibe of it is sort of this frontier town. So you can think of they described it at CitizenCon as kind of like Levski being San Francisco, and the whole system is like the gold rush. And so there's plenty of caves in the Sierra Nevadas, like plenty of places that you could just get lost in, and lots of crazy stories about secret miners' gold, and having grown up in that area, it's very common to hear those sorts of stories out there. So yeah, they'd be cool to like lean into. So I never really thought of it as being much. I was surprised that they were just like, oh, we're gonna do just the Glacium Ring, and I was like, all right, I don't know why you can't do 3 busted planets that no one cares about, but okay,
Sure.
It's a gas giant.
Yeah, like I don't even know if it's a gas giant or an ice giant, because in the lore it's supposed to be an ice giant, but the difference between a gas giant and an ice giant, I think, is just the makeup of the gas, because they're both basically the same thing. But I could be wrong. I'm gonna say just definitively that's the answer. It's just so that whoever's watching or listening to this afterwards, they can correct us. Please correct me in the comments.
It's all you're depending on the old lore. Do we really want to get into that kind of conversation right now?
Oh boy.
Not
boy.
yet. Get that soon.
Old lore. Oh my gosh. So I wonder how much of that is the fact that y'all were around with Levski, and you have that precedence. Y'all both played on Levski, I'm assuming, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Like I wonder if it's that knowledge, because I think newer individuals, I never played on Levski. So when I see the video and I see Genesis, we'll get into Genesis here in a second, but when I see like the Nyx planets and I think it's all gorgeous, and they're like, but it's not coming yet. It is kind of a weird, like off-putting. Like it does feel incomplete, whereas I can see from y'all's perspective, it's what y'all expected. It's what y'all had, way back in the day. So I wonder if there is a dynamic there, and why maybe the community is a little polarized on like a half-assed system. Yeah.
We also had to watch Stanton be built over like 5 years, so
that's
I think
true.
that probably prepared us for how they're doing Nyx too.
I think that's another problem right there, is that the fact that we watched Stanton being built over 5 years, and then have to compare that, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to build the system in front of you. It's like, okay, so we're not actually getting Nyx. You're going to come out with Nyx in 2030, because it'll come out this year, but it won't actually be done until so is a little bit of that like trauma, I guess you could say, of like
PTSD
of remembering how CIG builds systems in place, and it's like, oh cool, we'll get one planet every year.
Oh my gosh, no, that would be annoying.
So I don't think that's actually going to happen, but it could. It's CIG we're talking about. So
for somebody, I never played in Levski, but I saw it mentioned on social media, and I'm curious. Somebody said it's a larger Grimhex. What's your response to that? Is it basically Grimhex, but just bigger? Not to diminish what it is, but
they're the same flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On an asteroid in a belt.
So here's the thing that's important to remember, is that when you first came into Levski, you went down through a security center, and the first thing you see is the giant statue of Anthony Tanaka. And it was the first landing zone we had that had any sort. It was actually literally the first landing zone we had. This was before Lorville existed. This was before anything. So it was the first place you could go land and walk around on. And it set such a tone of like, oh, there's a story here. Who the heck is this Anthony Tanaka? Why do we have to remember him? So it was the first place that really had, hey, there's a story to this game. There's a universe that's being built. And so it's a little different from Grimhex, whereas Grimhex felt more like this is a cool, weird space station with some weird things, but it never felt like it felt like it was built for the game that existed in 2.0 rather than being built for the game that will come out now in 3.0, now 4.0.
Yeah.
So it's got a different vibe, but it's like Grimhex if Grimhex actually had a story. Or had a theme.
Like,
other than
some depth.
Garbage,
Yeah.
It's also kind of the case where a location is more than just what's inside of it. Grimhex is not a place where you feel very safe around. Levski is probably going to be a lot more warm and inviting. They're going to have more character in the location, in the mission givers, the ATC, the cargo hauling folks. Like anybody you work with at Levski is probably going to have a much more kind of like mom and pop shop out in the frontier sort of vibe. Whereas Grimhex, they're like, yeah, get in, close the door.
Yeah.
So I think
even
that the missions that you get, all that kind of stuff will still be different, but they are both asteroids floating in a ring.
Sure. So me and Paul asked a very interesting question to the audience in Austin. We asked the crowd, like, raise your hand if you're going to make Levski your home. And it was like, I don't know, 5 people. Like it was like out of the entire 350 people that were there, like 5, like I kid you not, raised their hand.
Stanton faithful.
Stanton faithful. We also had a bunch of pyro. Which one's obituary? Pyro.
Orbit.
Obituary. Yeah. So Bloom is the planet. Yeah, that I was thinking. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think this is a place that people call home, or do you think it's just a place that you're going to frequent? And then at that point, just how populous do we think Levski will actually be when it comes out?
For us old cranks, it's going to be home. It's going to be my home.
Okay.
So many people. You'll hear people say we're going home when Levski comes in for a reason. And I think it is a lot to do with nostalgia, but it's also with vibes. It's the only place that's going to have the vibe of we're on the frontier. It's a little rough, but it doesn't have flaming garbage cans and garbage everywhere.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I think that alone, but it's not UE and corporate. So it'll attract people who are like, I want a place that feels like I'm in a small town.
Wild West.
Than, I'm in corporate America or Mad Max, in Thunderdome.
Sure.
Yeah. Whenever they do get around to doing settlements on these planets, now that they've had some time to feel out what these larger settlement styles feel like in Pyro, I am actually quite excited to see what they do with them in Nyx, because like Paul says, this is the first and probably only time in the first 5 star systems where you have a whole system that gives you that feeling of you need to make that life-saving delivery of 5 SCU of water to this town because that's their shipment for the week. And they're happy to see you. They're paying you off. It's not really worth much, but it's the small missions you're doing because you're out on the frontier kind of just getting along. And I think that's exactly what I certainly hope that's what Nyx wants to, or what CIG wants to give with Nyx, because Pyro, it can allow that, but it's a late game area. It's a more dangerous area. It's not going to be the same.
Sure. I do think around this time in the Direct video, I thought it was humorous because the lore team was trying to be secretive. They were like, and players will not know what's going to happen around the corner, but let's show you what happens right around the corner. They were teasing it, but then showing us what was expected. So I don't know. Some of it was kind of ruined. I know there's gonna be still surprises and some interesting things to experience, but I feel like they maybe overshared where the quest is going to take us to Levski and some of the surrounding asteroid areas. I thought it was cool to see the Polaris, the ran down Polaris. But a great segue into the introduction to the Vanduul. So that was, I loved it. I loved everything about it. I was on cloud 9 until one of my friends was like, but they're not actually in the game. It's just a ship. And I'm like, man, you jerks. So now that I think more about it, it's like Arena Commander Vanduul Swarm, but in the PU. So my question, we'll start with Space Tomato first. I don't know, man. Are the Vanduul officially in the game? Are we calling this a win for CIG, or is it literally just a masked ship? What are our thoughts?
I mean, it's a win in its own right, not necessarily what maybe a lot of people would mean to say that, but I think it's a win narratively. It's certainly opening up the game to a lot more possibilities. It's getting people thinking a little bit more about the space they're actually fighting in and why they're aliens and why they're in this system and not that one. And I do think that it's moving forward the overall narrative of the game, which is good, but it's still very much like an alpha sort of moving forward. Like we're seeing it all sort of get built. And so I'm not really all that bummed out when they reveal all the stuff. Like I like a good surprise, and
Sure.
I like it when I get into the game. Like I certainly did not pay as much attention to the Hyperion segment of releases, so that when I got to do it in live, it was a little more interesting, a little more exciting. A lot of the stuff that I hear offhand, I usually forget by that time, anyways. But it's fun, it's good, it's cool to do that. But I've accepted that being here during the alpha, especially watching and covering all the content that comes out. Most of the things that are gonna happen, I'm gonna get spoiled.
Yeah.
Just used to it.
Yeah. Paul, is it narratively a win to have Vanduul in their ships? What do you think?
Yes and no. I do think that it's a secret backdoor way that CIG can test Vanduul AI, because like one of the things that's probably fairly clear to CIG is that they need to make sure that the Vanduul are unique and different from human AI, so that when they put them in Squadron or they use them in Squadron, they can actually feel different. They feel more engaging, which they can't do. They can do by releasing Squadron, but they can't do it before that. So this is a nice little, like a backdoor way of doing it. Narratively, I think hopefully, it will actually tell players how the Vanduul are dangerous. Because I think that's the important thing to remember, is that pirates fight for a specific reason. Outlaws will fight for a specific reason. But the Vanduul should feel relentless. They should feel overwhelming. They should feel in your face. And hopefully they're able to capture that, so that you can start seeing the difference between how different groups fight. And I think that alone should tell you, should teach players more about like why the Vanduul are so scary.
Sure.
But we'll see. I don't know. Like it just being, and maybe CIG is gonna put Vanduul on foot that we have to fight. That might be a thing that they're holding back because they wanted to surprise
Yeah,
us.
maybe there's a surprise they didn't give us.
Yeah, that could be. It could be a huge surprise where you just show up on the ground like, oh, I'm just fighting these other weird guys, and then around the corner there's like a 7-foot tall thing screaming at you and just waving a spear around. You probably lose your you lose your powers a little bit, you know.
Heck yeah.
So
I hope that happens. I do. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
What if you can explain? So I have a little bit of like gaming background. I can kind of explain the difference between like a live server and an instanced game like Squadron 42. I can talk the basics, but I would love to hear y'all take a crack at it. But if the Vanduul models are live in Squadron 42, like the game's just being polished. So they have the models, they know the characters are there. Theoretically, the AI for the Vanduul is live in Squadron 42. What is the difference? What is the hang up for taking the Vanduul in an existing Squadron 42 and not just activating them inside of the live PU?
The easy answer is server meshing. There's no server meshing for Squadron.
Yeah.
So all of the AI have to work within the server meshing architecture. So they just have to migrate the Vanduul AI into the server architecture and make sure it makes sense and make it work.
Yeah.
There's probably some other small details as well, but that's one of the things they said. Like recently, they wanted to test out the new AI behaviors, and from what I heard from people who had done it in the tech preview, that was the same one that did Vulcan. They said they felt more responsive and more engaging, though they were still kind of janky.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a lot of stuff from Squadron. It's just a matter of them making it work for the server meshing instance. So
yeah.
Yeah, and just the environment. They need to be able to account for a lot more things in their logic.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
That's fair.
because they're probably scripted to deal with only specific hallways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Squadron. So.
It's a good call. They can't really assault the objective if they're scripted to a certain path. Yeah, it's good. So while we're on the topic, I have to ask, are we still expecting Squadron 42 next year? Let's go on record. Keenan, what do you think?
I mean, they're on record still, so I'll say on record. I'm not.
No reason not to.
I don't know. Dude, I have nothing. There's no...
I think...
And I don't know.
I'm going to chicken out. I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to split the difference.
Cool. Tough guy with the big opinion over here. Oh.
I will say it's a 50-50 shot, but the 50-50 shot is it either releases in December of next year, or it releases in June of next year, or June of 2026 or 2027.
Okay.
Those are the two release windows.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that there's the specter that's haunting Europe. The specter, not of communism, but of GTA 6 that hangs over all of gaming,
casting its red shadow.
Yeah.
And on the nose.
And it, as a result, there's been rumors that it's going to be delayed again until October, and CIG needs to, with all its heart, avoid either preempt it or well after its release.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And so,
but GTA is console only.
Okay, I will explain this for folks who don't know this, but there's this concept when it comes to marketing in general that basically comes down to like word of mouth, people knowing who you are. And GTA 6 is such a phenomena. It's going to be such a cultural landmark that it will suck the air out of the room for anything that releases around it. There was a what was it called? Was it called Halo sickness or Call of Duty sickness? I can't remember what it's called. It's actually a psychological, an economic concept.
Interesting.
Where there was a game that was released, I think it was Halo 2, that when it released, something like 30% of the entire workforce of the United States called out. I'm probably overestimating it, but it was a significant portion of people who called out. That
all the men between 18 and 50.
Yeah, but it was Halo or it was Call of Duty, or it might have even been like GTA.
That's funny.
But like it is a phenomena that happens with big releases. So when it's gonna happen, people will take the week off of work when it happens just because they want to play it. So,
this guy will.
So GTA 6 is such a huge deal that it's going to happen. And a great way of explaining why that's dangerous is Titanfall 2.
Oh no.
Titanfall 2 is one of the best games that has ever been made. You cannot suggest me otherwise, but it was left out to die. It was released between Battlefield 1, the last really good Battlefield game, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It was released a week after Battlefield 1 and a week before Call of Duty. So it was sent out to be a speed bump so that people would buy either Battlefield 1 or Titanfall 2, and they wouldn't have enough money to buy Call of Duty. And to a degree, it worked, but at the sacrifice of Titanfall 2. Yeah. So no one bought it, so it died. Because it was released as a speed bump and not as a released game.
Interesting. That's interesting.
But then you have the opposite, which happened with Baldur's Gate 3. No one was talking about Baldur's Gate 3 before it released, except for the hardcore Baldur's Gate fans. But Baldur's Gate 3, I think Lullian, I can't remember, Luden Studios, I can't remember how to say the name, but the development studio, Larian Studios. The development studio saw that their release was like a week after Starfield. And they were like, Starfield is such an anticipated title. Let's push it back a month. Let's push it back so it releases a month before Starfield. So that way we're not going to get crushed in social media for all of these different references, and the video algorithms won't deny that. And as a result, even though everyone remembers now Starfield as being a disappointing release, you got to remember it was super hyped. It was so hyped.
It just works.
Them releasing it a month before Starfield released meant that they had a chance to get into a hype cycle with people talking about it. And if it was released around Starfield, it probably wasn't going to be the game of the year contender that everyone wanted it to be. Probably would have been fine with the people who were going to enjoy it, but it wouldn't have reached outside the bubble that it was had originally. But it reached outside the bubble wide as a result of what.
And
it
like,
released.
and a game like that would get the attention eventually. Like, it just takes some time, but that initial spike, can do so much for a game to just get in front of the one right person it needs to, that it's ripples. It's not. It's easy to just be like, oh well, that's just. Maybe you're just stripping away 10 to 15% of the eyeballs that would have been on there. But every single eyeball can make such a difference in the way that social media works now, that when you're releasing a game like this with this much riding on it, you want every strength in your corner.
Yeah.
Especially with a brand new IP.
Yeah.
And so as a result, timing is everything for release. So CIG needs to make sure that Squadron is released in a time period where there is nobody else releasing anything major.
Yeah.
And GTA 6 is the biggest elephant in the room for that.
We also might see Exodus next year.
It's true.
Yeah.
Plus the
Osiris.
The Expanse.
The Expanse game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they need to follow. I think it's Claire Obscure. Came out at the beginning of the year with nothing else around it. So I 100% agree with your sentiment. And this is my fault. I completely got us off. CitizenCon retrospective, but hey, it's always good to surmise about Squadron 42.
It's always sorry I went on that tangent.
No,
to understand the context.
It's great.
So many people will think that are like, it's a console game. It's not going to come out for PC, and it's like, it's not that, man. It's not that. It's about attention. It's the attention economy.
Well, my hope
will spiral.
Yeah, no, that's why I have y'all on here. I think it's great to play off of each other. I personally live in the world of Hopium, where I think next year is not CitizenCon, it's SquadCon. I think there's a Squadron 42 convention, and it launches in, like to your point, December. But it's starting to look less and less likely. All right, back to CitizenCon. Beautiful transition into Genesis, right? The
Genesis.
Yeah, I remember you doing it on stage. Star Trek reference, right? Yeah, beautiful and gorgeous. Like I made the comment on stage where Kingdom Come Deliverance is like one of the best games for graphics this year, in my opinion. The grass blades and the trees and the water just looks freaking phenomenal. If you take a screenshot, you would think that it was like in real life. And I legitimately saw the planet creations on this direct video and thought the same thing. Oh my gosh, this is StarCitizen. They've upped their graphics. They've upped their planet tech. We'll start with you, Keenan. What were your impressions on Genesis and their ability to really go from old school Stanton to what we saw in Nyx?
Grass.
The grass, yeah.
Grass. Grass.
That's all it is.
Grass. F***ing grass, dude. Just, man. They were really into the grass, and in their defense, it's impressive.
It is.
I think the most amazing thing, really, of the whole, it's the same thing as always. It's the freaking potential, but like, yeah, just sitting there and looking at how Nyx 1 is supposed to look, and then thinking of like, okay, how is Hurston gonna look? Because Hurston is such a boring planet right now, but the biomes themselves are so not like the old mining places where it's like, what is it called when it's layers in a mining the
quarries.
Yeah, a quarry. Like they have the quarry biome, they've got the trash heaps, they've got a savanna, you've got like just desert. That stuff is going to look freaking incredible with these systems. And that's what gets me most excited for it, is like when the rest of the game sees this update. Unfortunately, it sounds like that might actually be a while. I was thinking they were going to be starting with Stanton with this. I put out a whole theory about Microtech, and clearly I'm wrong on that. But I do wonder what kind of changeover it is to get everything updated on this system, because Planetech V4 didn't take too long. I'm just trying to think of what even released with V4.
The thing about V4 you got to remember, though, is that it broke all of the landing zones. It broke the landing zones, and it broke all of the points of interest, like the bunkers. Like
Man, I don't remember honestly.
They were
Was that
floating, or they were
was V4 when
disappearing.
Microtech came out, or was that
Yeah, it
3?
was Tech, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it's been a while. And like they did incremental updates. They built Pyro with like sort of what I guess you could call a halfway improvement, but they now have some like 10 other planets that they're going to have to do after Nyx. So I do wonder, the Planet Tech team's always been really fast, but how long is this going to take for them to get them updated? I also do think that it is reasonable to point out that like it's just, again, it's telling about development and how it works, but like the devs who were working on the Planet Tech stuff years ago, and this is often quoted by people who were looking at Nyx as being something that comes soon, they were saying they had finished their planet work back then, and just need to do some polishing. Clearly that's not the case anymore, as they need to go back in and do the work with V5, but it just kind of goes to show that when a dev who's working on something specific knows the work that they need to do, they can tell you when that's going to be done. But management can just go, hey, you know what? We don't need that. We're working on another system. So like we got another couple of years on this. And I think that's part of why they've started to be so much more quiet about letting lower level developers or even mid-level developers talk more candidly about the work being done and deadlines, because they've realized like they have a bit of an issue with putting out too many dates that can be missed because somebody else is making a decision that impacts that. So that doesn't have much to do with the Planet Tech, but I think it's just kind of an important detail that pops up here.
Yeah. No, that's a great call out, because like I think you can know, or you can kind of look at Stanton and you can see how some planets are definitely they spent more time on than others. Like I think it's pretty obvious, right? The makeover with Lorville, as much as I hate Hurston and like really everything about it, Lorville's beautiful. It's gorgeous, and not every city kind of looks like that. Not every residence or primary residence looks like that. Bless you.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
Lorville air in my lungs.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's a great point. Like they're going to have to, with every new tech, they're going to have to go back and fix everything else with everything. Like I'm assuming sound updates and all the 3-dimensional audio that they're pushing forward with. They're going to have to go back and do all locations, interiors, caves. I know they're having to redo that as well. So the work's cut out for them. Like it's a little disheartening, in my opinion.
Yeah, we don't see much about caves.
No.
Almost nothing. Yeah.
No. Anything else on Genesis? I want to make sure we give it the love it deserves, but yeah, it's like kind of back end, and we don't really get to see it just yet. Like Nyx is coming with no planets, right? All Nyx is Levski, and so when are we expecting the first planet Nyx? Do we know? They said soon trademark.
It sounds like from Ollie Brown, because Ollie Brown made an update post saying like we're still working on the visuals. So, well, I guess it's not anytime soon. It'll probably be like middle of the year next year, like we're not middle of the year, but like past the first quarter.
Sure.
Sometime between March and June.
Well,
yeah. I was thinking at least 6 months into next year. I'm more interested in actually seeing how Genesis changes up mining. They were not subtle about the fact that mining is getting some kind of updates in the very near future because of all this. So
yeah, I'm
very, very interested in seeing what happens there.
Yeah, I love how they mentioned like it makes sense where the rocks fall now. So like they're coming from the mountains and not just in some random swamp area. So like that I think that was a really good point. No doubt the Genesis is going to look gorgeous whenever it gets implemented. What is not gorgeous is the Shiv. Let's go into ships. Let's go into ships. The next segment was ships. And I'll be very honest with y'all. I'll give my opinion, then I'll shut up because I want to hear from y'all. I think this was the one letdown for me. Like, I feel like this CitizenCon, like in the past, they've given silhouettes and teases and maybe some little like reveals and kind of really played into that. This felt like an Inside Star Citizen to me. Like, this is coming in the next patch. Get excited. Here's the Shiv, the Paladin, and the Vanduul, which was the Stinger, which was very cool to see a new ship. But overall, we'll get your overall reactions first, and then we'll go look at each ship. Are we happy, content, sad with the level of ship announcements that came from the CitizenCon Direct?
CIG is currently in the use every part of the Buffalo state. Everything that's this year has either been a remake of a ship that already exists, and even the events have been using assets that have already existed in the game. Hathor, using Hathor assets from the now sort of canceled Theaters of War.
Theaters of War.
The two bases that are used for the Stormbreaker missions are both just reskinned assets of the Good Doctor map in Star Marine, and I'm pretty sure the ASD facilities are reskins of Squadron 42 assets. So like
and old work from their underground facilities.
Yes, and underground facilities. It's definitely underground facilities like work that they've been had hanging around. So you've got effective reuse of assets, and then you've got things like the Meteor, which is just a slightly modification of the Mantis. And you got so many ships like that happened this year. The Fortune is a reskin of the Prospector. The
Prospector. Yeah.
So the reality was that this was just a symptom of that, because the Shiv is a Squadron 42 asset. The Stinger is a Squadron 42 asset. So the only thing that's not in Squadron 42 that's new is the Paladin, but that was already made and sold. So like, it's basically the same problem we've been having this entire year, which is very few original new concepts. Most of the stuff we have is sort of kit bashes of assets that have already existed, or smart reuses of assets. So it's not a bad thing. It's something in all game development does, and it's a smart way of doing it when you don't have a lot of assets. And you need to produce something fast. But at the same time, it's kind of a letdown. You know?
So Keenan, does this help or hurt us going into IAE? Like, should we be excited about IAE? Is there going to be some massive Perseus drop? Or like, I've heard a lot of the community kind of get discouraged about.
Well, we're definitely going to see the Perseus.
Yeah,
no doubt. I think this is part of a bigger movement. It's reminiscent of the features thing I was talking about earlier. It shows what they are trying to use to keep people hyped. And right now, it really feels like that is proper game content. And like maybe they weren't planning on doubling down so hard, but they got a little taste of this year's funding after they got the game into this position. And they're like, you know what? Let's do more of this. Just bigger. So like, no new concepts, right? No new concept sales. What are they going to do? They're going to either give us a straight to flyable, or they're going to give us something that's already been a concept. If they hadn't given us the Paladin as a concept sale, it would have been a surprise, very cool straight to flyable. And they are reaping the rewards of having done that concept sale in the past now. But I think that they're getting away from that by doing more of these kinds of straight to flyables. And while they're a bit disappointing to all of us obsessors about this stuff, we have to remember the 90% of people who don't know any of this is happening, and like,
that's fair.
They're hearing about it for the first time right now. So it is still exciting. It is still really cool to see 3 new ships coming out that all are really quite different.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why they didn't do the silhouettes. That's only a thing they've done the last 2 years, but it has been really popular, and I think the community has just been a big fan of it. I don't know what that means for ships next year. I actually have not thought too hard about the implications of that.
No.
But it's a conscious decision. It honestly might just be to save time. Maybe they'll do something like that at IAE. Who knows?
Yeah. They do these sorts of things at IAE. I forgot how to do those little videos. So we might see it in IAE instead.
Yeah.
So
completely fair. We'll stay with you, Keenan. Of the 3 that released, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
Paladin's my favorite, dude. I don't even have to think about that one, man. It looks stripped right out of the UNSC Navy. Between that and the Legionnaire, I feel like it really channels both the Halo and Alien universes, those two ships. And
I thought Halo too. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, God, it looks so good, man. I'm never gonna own one myself, but I really like the way the Paladin looks. I was a huge fan of the the claim jumpers, the mining claim jumpers mission.
Oh yeah,
man, it's been around for a long time. It's no longer in the game, but it was like you get sent to a mining claim. There'd be a whole bunch of like prospectors and maybe a couple escort ships that you'd fight off. And it was really fun for you and a couple people in like a hammerhead, because you could just go and fly the hammerhead in a straight line and everyone has targets all over to shoot at. And I always thought, man, this would be really fun with the Redeemer. And then once the Paladin was shown, I was like, man, that would be really fun with the Paladin. So now that the Paladin's here, I'm like, I really want to start taking on some missions like that. And then they added cargo to it.
Yes.
I've been covering that ship all year, and I'm like, this is a cool ship. It's going to be good, but as a general purpose mission runner for your friends, you're missing out on cargo, so you're going to want to go with something else. And they added cargo.
They did.
You got everything you need now.
Yeah.
So I love that ship. My least favorite of the thing, I don't really have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Shiv and the Stinger both. I guess I would say the Stinger because I just don't like a big ship. But I actually think it looks really, really good. I'm not usually a big fan of Vanduul design, but
yeah,
God, it's beautiful.
And the sound, they got the audio squared on it. Like, it sounds amazing as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, I was able to get into the Paladin. I did, like, once the patch released, I was able to get in it really quick, pulled out the Paladin, walked in it. Very surprising, right? Like, I was very shocked in a good way. Got the Shadowfall paint on it, so to your point, like, it looks sick. Like, it looks amazing with the black and white camo. The cargo is pretty badass, but there's also like the interior, like they're just upping their game on the details on the interior of these ships. But like underneath the staircase, there's like that spindle, like you see the engine turbine turning. Like it's incredible.
I haven't seen the ship yet in game.
It's good.
Sounds cool.
It is good. Yeah, absolutely. Paul, same question for you, buddy. Like, I'm assuming Paladin as well. But what's your favorite?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like any of those ships. So it's one of those the Paladin's fine, just not my ship.
Yeah.
You know, if we're going gunships, I'm going for the Percy every time. But you know, it's also
he's just bitter because it encroaches on his own favorite
on
ship.
my Redeemer.
There it is. Yeah, the Deemer.
I hate that thing. I find it both satisfying and not satisfying that the Paladin has completely taken the Redeemer out back and shot it in the back of the head. Like it's so satisfying, but also like, man, see, it's so sad because like CIG, you wasted the potential of this unique, weird ship that I hate because of so many different reasons that you could improve upon it. But I think the Paladin is hands down the best. The Shiv is, I think, better than the Stinger, only because of like it is incredibly overpowered. The amount of guns that thing has for two pilots.
Yeah,
and it's $130. That's like an insane with 32 SU of cargo. Like that's encroaching on, you know, a better Cutlass. Basically.
Yeah.
So I know it's weird looking and it's kind of funky, but like, hey, you know, if it's stupid and it works, is it stupid? You know, kind of thing.
See, I wasn't gonna buy one. I was not gonna buy a Shiv, and I ended up buying one just because of like the amount of like love, attention, and humor that the developers put into that ship. Like, it is so unique. It stands out among the rest. I'm like, I gotta have this. It's almost like having a relic or like, you know, some sort of you know, unique item, right? So yeah, I ended up getting the Shiv. I do have the Paladin from like last year's sale, which again, the Shadowfall paint's like money. But I do want to give a shout out like to CIG and the developers for the Shiv. I feel like that's a whole, I know Squadron 42 asset, but that was like a whole different world that they had to embark on, completely against their design language, and creating something brand new. So it was just really cool. There are a couple more topics from CitizenCon. I'm going to omit some and rearrange for the sake of this podcast. I'm going to move instancing down with the Tactical Strike Group. I want to end on that because I think that's a meaty, like a good home run ball. But the next topic before that, I want to talk crafting, right? So we have this mobile suite that is now going to come to us in 4.4. You can put it on a ship. You can put it in your hangar. Do we feel like this is enough for those in the community that have been screaming for crafting, who have been wanting more than the vultures, cargo hold? Is this a really good step into crafting, or are we left wanting?
I think anybody who knows Star Citizen long enough would not have expected more than this for the first iteration of crafting.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not going to blame people for having higher expectations, but I think this is like, yeah, I think this makes sense as a first iteration. If we can do ammo, med pens, some kinds of armor, backpacks, that kind of stuff,
yeah,
dude, that's a good chunk of things. That's like, you can have somebody in your org whose job it is to collect the things that you and your org gets and turn them into something for the org. So
absolutely,
I think it's a touch. It's already further ahead than refueling is. Hell. So, as long as they can get it into testing this year, and as long as that testing is not like we get one preview channel update in December, they give it to us for 3 days and then shut it down and bring it back in June, then yeah, I think it sounds like a good schedule.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Paul?
I'm basically everything that Keenan said.
Copy paste.
I mean, it's exactly what I wanted.
Okay.
Like I'm a big fan of, and I want them to do more of this, of like different bespoke solutions to problems that currently exist in game.
Yeah.
As something the size of a crafting of a cargo box of some kind, because like the crafting thing that they have is a 2 SCU cargo crate. Give me a 8 SCU refinery, so I can like refine minerals and stuff like that into. Just take the little hand ore crates and whatever, and be able to feed it into this thing and have it spit out resources for me to use. For other things. I'm a big fan of having solutions that fit everyone's situation that doesn't require a specialized ship.
Sure.
So the idea of them doing this sort of crafting as sort of a mobile crafting station, great. And as Keenan pointed out, there's going to be people whose sole job is to take resources and turn it into ammo.
Yeah.
So that someone's sitting on the Valkyrie just being like, oh, taking resources, turn it into ammo, taking resources, turn it into ammo. So that when people come back from their missions, they can be like, oh, here's all this ammo that's already been made for me. Here we go. I have it ready to go. So
yeah. I've been so corrupted. I don't know. I don't want to blame like CIG for this or not. It's just where my headspace is. But I got nervous. Like I got more blinded by the anxiety and nervousness of seeing it come up on a freight elevator. Right. When we're in the video, it comes up on the freight. And I'm like, how many things can go wrong with trying to craft something on the back of like, I can't even put a ground vehicle on the back of a Valkyrie or back of an Asgard without it, glitching through everything. So I feel like they have a lot to square away before they can make this effective. And so I'm nervous. I'm nervous about having crafting come out in such a modular or such a movable platform. Is that a warranted fear or am I just insane?
I mean, there's always a danger of things going crazy wrong in Star Citizen.
100%.
I'll give you that. I do think though that it's a really good thing because it just democratizes it. It's less fuel behind the idea that buying a ship gets you ahead in the game. If you can, like Paul said, if you can start decoupling these things that everybody needs to do from ships, then the ship becomes more about your personal choice than like the need to have it.
That's right. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I know I will be spending a lot of time crafting. And you mentioned the backpacks. For some reason, that's what I was stuck on. I'm like, if I can create a backpack that can hold more than just a regular backpack, done. Like that'll make the rest of my org happy because we do a lot of resource gathering. Heck yeah. I'm going to combine instancing with the tactical strike groups. Now they're not the same. I don't want to confuse listeners and viewers and somebody think that one is of the same, but I'm grouping these because it changes the way we are playing the game in groups, solo groups, or mass organizations, right? So with instancing, there is a lot of negative reaction. I don't necessarily want to approach this 100% negatively, but there's a lot of people, Jared confirmed it on the video, who think that instancing is the antithesis. It's the opposite of what we were trying to do in Star Citizen. Paul, you and I talked about it at CitizenCon Direct on the stage. So I understand kind of both sides of the coin. But while we're here, we'll start with Keenan. But instancing, does it truly destroy Star Citizen, or is it what we've been needing all along?
I don't think it's what we've been needing, but I think it works. Like it certainly takes care of problems, and it's a tool. You know, it's kind of like hating an LLM because somebody used it to scam people. Like it's not, you don't have to scam people with it. You could do proper things with it, with the right training, with the right motivations. The same thing with instancing. Like it's not going to ruin Star Citizen. It could, just like the economy could. Like it just depends on how CIG wields this technology and the way that, like, if you're going to take them at their word, the way they've described how they want to use this is as a way to basically silo off park rides, theme park rides, you know, little things that can happen here and there, meeting a mission giver, running a closed raid on a space location, things that need to happen without being interrupted by other people. I don't think it ruins Star Citizen, but I think that CIG is likely going to have to, or likely should do, some work on communicating that balance. I believe that this segment of talking about instancing is kind of in response to the amount of people who have been kind of addressing their fears that they don't think they'll have any place to play in Star Citizen because everything is dangerous. And in doing that, they could have made another group of people now feel like it's going too far in the other direction. And this is what happened.
Yeah.
Like they introduce combat missions. Industrial think it's going to be all combat. They introduce a cargo hauling event. Combat people are like, why are you doing this? Is it PvP? Is it pirate related? Is it instant? And is it in pyro? Every time they do something, people think they're going to keep doing that one thing. And I don't think just because they're introducing instancing, it's going to be their solution to everything. I think they'll use it where they see fit. And I hope that that's enough for us to still keep that overworld that Benoit mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. And Paul, is this the pirate killer?
No.
Yeah.
No. CIG has a problem. They
just one.
But the problem that's related to the instancing is that if you look at Hathor was designed to work with like 10 people, but it's in an open sandbox environment.
Mm-hmm.
So in a situation where more bodies wins, people are going to throw more bodies at it. You know, it's easy to run Hathor with 10 people, but if, 20 people show up with an Idris, they win.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes just a matter of like the effort to actually do the event is so high that the actual reward is nothing. So if anyone can just show up and just start fighting people because they want to, then it becomes much more difficult to actually enjoy the event, especially because CIG likes to do these complicated multi-step activations for things.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to build, if they can't build missions that can include 700 people, the full max server, then they need to figure out a way to restrict the missions to only the number of people they want. And that's what instancing is. It's that CIG is throwing in the towel for bespoke missions, saying we can't do this in a way that is balanced for the entire server. So we need to make these interesting experiences that are driven by events and stories, and we're building them around this number of people, and so we're going to limit it to these number of people. Does that mean it's the end of sandbox gameplay? No. It just means that CIG has to put a lot more work into this sort of content compared to building out the tools for something like base building or salvaging or any of the sort of stuff that allows you to do just normal sandbox gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's just their focus right now, and they'll get to the sandbox gameplay later when they have server meshing, dynamic server meshing, and they have base gameplay and all that sort of thing.
So taking a step back as a content creator, like to the AstroPub and to Space Tomato, when you play, how much does this impact you? Is this a good change, like for you and how you play? Not the future of Star Citizen, but does this impact you at all? Are you happy with this? Is it not that big of a deal?
To be quite honest, if I knew that games did this, MMOs did this, I would have played MMOs earlier. I actually stayed away from MMOs because I wanted to play, like, I loved Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
So when the Old Republic came out, I was like, oh my God, that sounds so amazing. But then I found out it was an MMO. And I was like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the story and the characters, but I don't really want to do that. And then I find out years later, you can do that without fighting other people. So yeah, I think this makes a difference for me because I like environments where I have controlled gameplay just as much as I like environments where anything can happen.
Yeah.
And as long as they keep a balance there, I'm glad that they're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul?
Doesn't really affect me that much. I'm a veteran of DayZ. I'm an old bean bandit, so I'm completely used to waking up on the beach and getting freaking domed in the face and starting over again.
Yeah.
I'm used to doing that to people too, so it's not an insane concept to me to do that. But I'm also an enjoyer of stories and those sorts of things. So as long as I have the ability to enjoy these tailored dungeons and raids, I'm cool. As well as being able to take over an entire space station and do, force people to give me their starting arc light pistols, just so I can have a collection of starter arc light pistols because it's funny.
Yeah.
As long as both of those are there, I'm fine. So.
Sure.
Why do you think they waited so long to talk this seriously about instancing?
Because it wasn't ready.
Do you think that they wanted to do this before that? I think a lot of people would respond by saying, "Oh, well, this is a problem." No. I mean in the last couple of years, people would say, "Oh, this is something that MMOs have been dealing with for a long time," and CIG thought that they could do it differently, and now they're going back and throwing in the towel and saying, "Okay, we'll instance stuff." Do you think that this is something that they were hoping to not need to do, or was it always?
It was
something
always.
Yeah.
So when did Siege of Orson come out?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
21?
Yeah.
22 maybe?
If you talk to why am I blanking? It's so late, I'm forgetting his name. Elliot. If you talk to Elliot. Who's the one who created Siege of Orson, he was candid in 21 when he made this. This was designed with dynamic server meshing in mind. The idea that it was a completely separate instance away from everybody else. So dynamic meshing was always instance. It was just a different way of doing instance. And now what they've just done is decided to really work an instance into the dynamic meshing. But that was always supposed to be the idea, was that these things were going to be instance so people could enjoy them. I think it's just a natural progression. It may have never been directly implied, but dynamic meshing was always sort of there.
Well,
and
I think
I would say ever since Siege of Orson came in, it's like, okay, that's the direction. That's where they're going. That's the plan.
they had mentioned something called dynamic islands, which was like being able to basically have a javelin be its own server. It makes sense if that's kind of speaking in that same context. I didn't think about it as an instance.
Yeah. It's super interesting. So we go from one change of the player base and how we play together to the way they ended CitizenCon Direct. And I don't know about y'all, but I left ecstatic. This is what me and my org and every org that I've ever known and spoken to, this is what we've been crying for. And it's the task strike groups, right? Am I saying that correctly? Hold on. I want to make sure. Tactical strike groups. Tactical strike groups. Yeah. So this was incredible. If you haven't seen it, viewers, listeners, first off, go watch the last, 5-10 minutes of CitizenCon Direct. It is incredible. this is what I wanted at a Star Citizen. I just want to hear y'all's reactions. Like, what were y'all thinking when you saw this? Did this get your like little kid gamer heart running? Or what? Or did we see problems with it? Or how did we respond to it?
Good, Keen.
Paul.
I can start.
Yeah.
So ever since they mentioned instance fleet battles in Nyx against the Vanduul, because they mentioned that like last year or 2 years ago, they mentioned they wanted to do instance fleet battles. And they showed off this. I was like, this is the instance fleet battles. This is what they're talking about. And when they mentioned instance fleet battles, I remember because Loken, good friend of mine and Keenan, that is his gameplay. That is his ideal gameplay, is to be on the bridge of an Idris, directing individual strike groups and checking in and getting. He wants to be the admiral on the deck, and seeing that there, I'm like, this is his gameplay. And seeing all the different things, I'm like, this is the kind of gameplay that people have been wanting in the game forever. A reason to have capital ships, a reason to have fighters, a reason to have bombers, a reason to have nimble interceptors, a reason to have boarding crews that are in there to do those things. And then to have it be this sort of multi-layered, it's the Death Star, right? Y'all, it's the Death Star. It's just the Death Star, but CIG doing the Death Star, the second Death Star.
They even called it a trench run too, right? They even said trench run.
It reminds me heavily of Ace Combat, because Ace Combat loves their trench runs. They almost always do a trench run in an Ace Combat game. Yeah. So it reminded me very much of that sort of dynamic. And then to have all of that multi-step process, that complicated, you got to do X, Y, and Z and do it in the right order, only for it to end with a big fleet battle with the Vanduul and treating that, it was like perfect. No notes. This is what a raid should look like in Star Citizen. This is a raid for an MMO raid, something that requires heavy coordination, time, effort, and something you could feel good about completing. Yeah. Rather than just being like, I did it because we have overwhelmed them with numbers, sort of thing.
So before I pass it off to Keenan, I might have missed this, so please correct me. Did they say that this was instanced? Like this wouldn't be? Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. So this would be a flavor of instancing.
But it's a huge instance.
Of course.
They talked about this as instance. It's one of the, I think it was the final thing they talked about, because after they talked about instancing, they talked about Siege of Orison being correct as instance.
Correct.
They talked about, I think this was the one that they said that would be the first instance would be tactical fleet battles, and it would come in the middle of the year next year.
Got it. See, I was in so much awe in the moment that I clearly didn't pay attention to it being instance. Keenan, how excited is the Garden Initiative?
Oh man, I mean it's buzzing. It's certainly like Paul said, this is like, it gives everybody something.
Yeah.
You have to ride in on the capital ship in your little infantry outfit with your folks, because you're not going between flying a spaceship, repairing the interior, picking up cargo from a ship on the hangar bay deck, and also fighting with a turret. You're doing one thing. You're in the drop ship and you're going on board to take out the station. You're in the fighter pilot going to defend your capital ships, or you're in the capital ship holding off for the turret. But it's like, finally, everybody's got a role, and you kind of got to be good at it. And this is the part of MMO that I've never experienced, because I've just never played an MMO before. And it's exactly what I thought a raid from a game like Star Citizen should be. It should include capital ships. It should have reasons for you to maybe use other ships on those capital ships, a space station or something to fight on. What really jumped out to me the most here was that this felt like what I wanted when I played Battlefront back in like 2005. Oh, wow. I loved that Battlefront had these different places where you could fight and you could fly ships a little bit, but it felt still so limited. You couldn't explore the whole ship or blow up whatever ship up you wanted or grab any random ship and fly places. You were still supposed to like do this third person shooting on the ground kind of experience. So to finally get an opportunity to do something like this in a game from a first-person perspective and take any role that I want in it, I really hope it comes together for them and they can launch this into the game and it's competent. I think I also would love to hear about updated social features by then, because this is going to be a pain if we have to rely on untiered comms in Discord to try and coordinate all this. But it is looking cool from a gameplay aspect.
Yeah. Well, you took my response right out of my mouth. Like, I think there's a lot of like org tools that absolutely need to get squared away before this is going to be successful. Because if anybody listening is part of a major org, communication is always like the first thing that goes in a chaotic 30 plus person raid. So yeah, that's going to be super interesting. But I like your point. I like both y'all's points about it really involving everybody. Everybody's going to have their A game on, right, for this to be successful. So yeah, I can't wait for that. I hate asking this because it sounds like a negative question, and I'm trying not to come across as negative, but like, are we expecting this next year? Are we expecting this like kind of base building? Like, is it going to be this thing that keeps getting pushed out? How close are we to seeing something this big for org play?
I can 100% see everything that they showed at CitizenCon coming next year.
Okay.
That's what I think the best part about this is. I have my whole thing is it was disappointing for the right reason. It's corny, but it's true. Like, it sucked that they didn't show us the far out stuff that we were all excited for, but that's a good thing. It's nice to finally feel like even in past years when they were like, yeah, a lot of this is coming in the next year, you could always pick out a couple things that you're like, nah, that's going to be a while, and then we know. But this year there was none of that. I think the thing that I would expect to take the longest was Planet Tech. Genesis, and that goes back to the beginning of this this podcast when I was saying like they used to depend on features to drive the hype, but features are super unpredictable. So when they try to tell us at CitizenCon that they may or may not come the next year, anything could happen in those next 6 months to make that a problem. But this year they've spent the whole time proving to us that they can make content, they can release a story, and they can do it relatively on time pretty quickly. So I think when they focus the whole CitizenCon on that kind of stuff, it gives a lot more confidence, and it feels like it's a much more achievable than previous things they've tried to promise.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. Do you agree, Paul? Like, I actually also see it happening this year. I think the instancing piece, because of what it relies on, like on the back end, could be a barrier, but yeah, I can see it coming next year at some point.
The thing they said specifically about instancing is that it's part of, they said this in other places, that it's part of, I think it was Benoit said this, was that it's part of dynamic meshing, and that dynamic meshing is not a single release. Dynamic meshing is going to be broken up into several portions and released over time. So my guess is that dynamic meshing and the first version of dynamic meshing is instancing. It's their dynamic tech to see that they can do, because they can just put dynamic meshing into one instance and then rotate it and layer it and all that kind of stuff that they need to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
all the tech jargon.
All of this is entirely possible. Yeah. There are, of course, always outliers. It's always important to note that CIG is always ambitious with their timelines, and they're likely going to take longer than they think. And it's also important to remember that this is still a game in production, game in alpha. So even if it looks really cool, it probably is going to release like garbage. It's probably not going to be fun the first time it was released, and it'll probably take them a couple patches to make it good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll release it perfect the first time.
No.
I don't know.
Just look at every release this year when like 10% of the community was convinced that every place in the game was going to be a PvP hellscape forever because of that. Then a month later, it's like,
Yeah. Not that big of a deal. Yeah. So I want to end on this kind of general question to each of you. Paul, will stay with you, but rate this year's CitizenCon, just overall general reactions. Like, how did you leave that Saturday? And then what do we think next year has in store for us? Not content wise, but for CitizenCon. Are we thinking it's going to be in person, virtual? What do you think?
Okay, so do you want me to rate this compared to other CitizenCons?
dealer's choice. Like you answer how you want to.
I'm going to use it in terms of the context of the many CitizenCons I've either been at
Sure.
or I've watched. And I will say this is a above average, but still an average CitizenCon.
Yep.
It's not the highs of the last 2 years. So if I was to be a teacher and using the American grading 100-point scale system, I would give this a 75.
Okay.
Not awful.
It's a C.
A solid C.
Yeah.
You know, below average, but like good. Honestly, it would. I said it's above average. I say it's just around the average.
Sure.
Because it was short, but it was a lot of information.
It was
a lot of stuff packed in there. There were 4 breaks, and those breaks I think were like 5 minutes each.
Yeah.
So there was a total break of 20 minutes out of plus the initial 30 minutes. So out of a 3-hour stream, only about 50 minutes was anything other than content. So that's a lot. It's almost like straight 2 hours of content.
Yeah. Next year, what do you think?
So next year, I don't think we're gonna have a CitizenCon again next year. I think we're gonna have another CitizenCon Direct because I think they'll do Squadron Con.
Okay, we're aligned there.
They'll do it in person. It's gonna happen because Squadron, even if it doesn't release next year, it is going to get a hype. If they're going to hype it up, because if it doesn't release next year, it's going to release in 2027. This is one of those things where CIG is going to keep kicking the can down the road.
Listen to this guy.
Like CIG seems to be like absolutely holding themselves to this coming year.
Yeah,
it may happen, may not. I mean, let's be honest. How many games have been delayed, which are big AAA titles that have had a release date and they've delayed it? All of them.
Sure.
There's not a single AAA game that hasn't been delayed after they hit a release date. And it was always but it was never like we're indefinitely never going to release this. It was always okay, we're not going to release this date, but we're going to do this date. And almost always they hit that date.
Sure.
So just from the gaming standpoint, you should expect a delay, though you could also argue that the delay already happened in 2016 and it's been 10 years.
A 10-year delay.
Yeah, so as a result, I think Squadron is going to be the main focus of any CitizenCon release. And if they're planning on a end of the year release, they're going to have a Squadron Con just because I'm sure they'll be planning for a release at CitizenCon.
Yeah.
So as a result, I think if we have a CitizenCon, it'll be sort of a CitizenCon Direct, sort of a nice little, hey, this is what we're working on. Thank you.
But stay tuned
please
for
Squadron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man, okay, random. I hope there's like collector's edition versions of Squadron 42 because you know that shit's gonna fly off. Like all of us spending thousands of dollars on the game. What's another couple hundred? You know. Keenan, first off, how did you watch the CitizenCon? Were you a part of a watch party? Did you host your own with your org? I actually don't know.
Yeah, so our community, me and Mrs. Tomato rented out a place in San Francisco.
Okay.
And we did some catering. We got a big screen and we hosted a stream from inside this place out there.
Oh, cool.
And it was like 23, 25 people we got together and
that's cool.
Kind of did it with them in person and then with everybody else on stream. It was a good time.
Yeah, it seems like an intimate setting, like a really cool way to watch it with friends.
We linked up with the group who did the San Jose show after that.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the overall, I guess, reaction? Kind of the same questions for Paul, you think?
I walked out of there probably thinking this was like a 72, 73 experience, but since then it's gone up to like 78.
Okay.
I would say. If I'm using the same educated children of America scale. Yeah. It was, I think this was a very telling event. And it's probably a little bit more of reading too much into things, but I think they're sending some serious signals to the general public about trying to clean up their act. The ending of concept ship sales, the absolute retreat they did on the AI Blade stuff. Yeah. Even little things like they canceled a free fly towards the beginning of this year for the sake of the game's stability. The way that they're marketing the game, they're like advertising actual game. I kept saying that a gameplay segment would have been a really good idea for this, because it seems like they want to get more casual players interested, and that's the best way. It's an easy, shareable, reactable kind of thing for them to do. And they didn't do it, which I think was kind of a bad call. But at the same time, the stuff that they're showing off might not be meant for people outside of the community, but it's certainly meant for a more casual Star Citizen follower than any other CitizenCon in their history. And I don't think that we should take that lightly, because it's just more of the same of everything else they're doing. I think it's probably foreshadowing just more and more kind of communication limitations. They don't want devs saying as much. They want the CTO and the senior game director to apparently share most of the news. And so this really just tells me more about where the company is right now than anything else. But it definitely has me excited for the game next year, because there are features slipping into that. Like, one of the big things, one of the like big sleepers of the CitizenCon was that capital ships will now repair and refuel smaller ships inside of them. Like, that's
good call.
They mentioned that as a small thing, but that's huge in the grand scheme of things with how people want to use Star Citizen. We were talking for at least half a decade about what's a pocket carrier and like what ship can go in what ship, because everybody just wants to experience that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
And now you can literally have a ship that is your home base and have people coming and going from your ship running missions, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so like those kinds of things starting to file into the content as they're releasing content that I find interesting and able to keep me interested in the game. It definitely has me feeling better about the next year.
Awesome.
And then I remembered that I didn't learn anything about features. Besides, the little bits that I'm mentioning here, but no, there are a lot of features that are not getting talked about, and that's the little bits that are holding me back.
Sure.
They're frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
Like I said, that's very frustrating, because it's one of those things where it's like, we know so much of the game is held back by the features not being in, like engineering is holding back pretty much everything. But like, we also know, apparently, what is it called? Vulcan is holding back all the rest of that stuff. So it's like, we're back to the chain of things need to get done in order for things to get done. And CIG seems to kind of go, it's done when it's done. Like,
yeah. Or look over here at this other squeaky toy. Like, distraction.
More ships.
And for next year, Keenan, what do you think? SquadCon or CitizenCon?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say.
You guys really do think they're going to do a separate event for Squadron 42's release?
Mm-hmm. If not completely replace, like I could see them replacing CitizenCon completely and having a SquadCon, and just focusing solely on an event that celebrates Squadron 42. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a prediction for that. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
What the heck is a $1 billion game release look like anymore? Anymore. I guess it's one of the first. I don't know what kind of spectacle it's supposed to be. I feel like with Chris Roberts, he's probably going to want to have the whole red carpet and stuff out. To have celebrities dropping by and all that stuff. So
sure.
Who knows?
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all so much for joining us on the Beyond the Verse podcast. Keenan, we'll start with you. If people want more of the Space Tomato content, I know you have 1,000 channels. Go ahead and do your pitch, man. How do we find out more?
The easiest way is just to search for Space Tomato on YouTube. I'm sure one of the channels will come up there. It's actually only 4. Okay, it's not that many channels, but the way that YouTube works, it makes you. It makes you do it.
That's true.
The main channel, Space Tomato Gaming, narrative, more high quality B-roll focused stuff. Generally talking about the direction of the game, major beats of Star Citizen, and looking at other space games too. Second channel is more in-depth, deep dives, daily news, podcast on a weekly basis, that kind of stuff, more talking. And then a third channel for gameplay, Space Tomato Plays. So it's really just split up by whatever kind of content you like, but don't ever associate me with that Space Tomato 2 guy. He's a little unhinged.
Speaking of others,
extra worker in the basement.
Speaking of other space games, will you be getting into The Expanse, Osiris?
Oh God, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looks
I'm
good,
actually
right?
working on a video for Exodus right now.
Okay.
I did one for The Expanse a few weeks ago.
Okay.
those two games definitely are high up on my list.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Falling Frontier is supposed to come out in the next, at least in the next couple of weeks, or at least an update for it.
What?
So,
What?
Falling Frontiers? Yeah.
In the next couple weeks?
Well, it's got to be before the end of the year. They still have it listed on their official channels that it's like coming out this year.
No way. There's no way. There's no way.
Probably not, but they'll definitely.
delay
I think they'll at least delay it, but they'll have an update on delay. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I might have spent a pretty penny on the collector's edition of the Expanse, so I'll join you in the Osiris.
Hell yeah.
Paul, how do people find more about the AstroPub, Astro Historian, your other
twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroHistorian, youtube.com/TheAstroPub Live, and of course my podcast, youtube.com/The Captain's Table Podcast. So
love that.
Lots of stuff. I also have 4 channels because I also have The Spice Must
Yeah.
Roll, but that is not active. We haven't done that in a while, which is my old space-based TTRPG game stuff. But I've discovered that while Tomato has Space Tomato, I have
Oh yeah.
The
AstroPub, the
The
Astro Historian,
right,
the
yeah.
Captain's Table.
It's fair.
I think I even have a the Paul Shelley account. So it's somewheres that I'm eventually going to use. So
Universally, he's just known as the.
The
you can call me the.
so, sounds omnipotent. That's what that sounds like. I love that. Oh, I can't wait to read your fan fiction when you publish it for StarCitizen.
Yeah,
and
that's gonna be fun.
yeah, can't wait.
My goal is to write that and then to finish writing it, and then to try to like poke CIG and be like, story, put this in your thing.
Yeah.
Pay me, please.
Make this
It's
canon.
not fan fiction, it's just canon, please.
Yeah, that's right.
Immortalize him.
And everything for Beyond the Verse podcast and Sole Provisioner game organization. You can find out everything you want to know at beyondtheversehq.com. Guys, thanks again for joining. Safe travels as you traverse Beyond the Verse. Take care, everybody.